All right, folks, Tommy Cowett here on the lawn with another exciting episode, and I want to show you guys some berries today. One of my favorite things to look at in the landscape, and I'm sure everybody else does, and I'm sure the birds love them as well, are berries on plants. So this episode, we're going to look at various types. This is the pyracantha. So you can see it's just gorgeous. This is just so profuse in the way it blooms, and these berries, now big and plump they are. That's a great variety. Now the pyracantha, that's a difficult plant to grow because of its, when it needs to be trained to espalier to the house like that, it requires a lot of pruning. And the pyracantha is also susceptible to quite a few insects, but birds just love them. They're just gorgeous this time of year. So that's the pyracantha. It is a very thorny plant. So, you know, if you've got to do pruning and you don't like to get stuck, this is probably not the plant for you. But it does have a big, huge thorns that can really get you. But they've been doing a really great job pruning this one. Oh, that is magnificent. Just love the pyracantha. All right, folks, continuing with the berry look, I just want to kind of pan around a little bit over here. The lawn came in really good. Look at that Japanese maple trees. My Japanese maples are looking really good. Look at that camellia. This is the nandina. And nandina is a native here to North Carolina, but look at the size of these berries. I always like to use these guys for Christmas decorations on my wreath. And that's the nandina. That's the large or heavenly bamboo, it's also known as. And while we're back here, see, I've got lots of nandina that I always like to use for berries. This particular plant here, just to show you, there's no berries on it right now. This is called porcelain vine. And at first I really loved it because it has a porcelain-like berry. It's beautiful porcelain that you'll see during the growing season. That's where it gets its name, porcelain berry. But it's a vine and it's invasive, extremely invasive. I brought it from the Arboretum, Greensboro Arboretum here. Hey, pot lady. Oh yeah, and pot man. Brought it from the Arboretum in Greensboro, and I didn't realize what it was, that it was an invasive species, and I had it on a trellis I used to have right here, and just had to get rid of it. But it's still coming back. It was actually planted here, and it used to just be beautiful, but it took me about 3 years to get rid of the porcelain vine. So watch out for porcelain berry vine, because it really will spread. Birds love them. They'll pick up the porcelain berries, eat them, and move them all over the place. I wish this is a false holly. We'll go look at some holly berries. These are osmanthus plants here. All right, folks, let's look at some more berries. Nice fall color. Hey, Momo. All right, folks, here's one of my favorite trees of all time. It's a native. This is an American holly, Ilex opaca. Look at the size of this guy. He's huge. I remember, God, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, this tree was really small, but it's really taken on its size. And when you look at those berries, now this is a female. This is a girl right here, because the berries of a holly tree are produced on the female, but she's got to have a male around to pollinate her. And I'm looking around and I'm not seeing it, but I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. Now these are native, and they grow from up in Massachusetts as far south as Florida. But right here in North Carolina, boy, is that beautiful. And these make great bows if you're decorating for Christmas. You know, you could decorate your bows with these holly berries. And look how plump they are. I can hear the birds around here. Ilex opaca, the American holly. Gorgeous thing. All right, folks. Well, here's one I really like a lot. This is Nellie Stevens holly. this is really blooming well right now. Big plump berries, but I really enjoy using the Nelly to make wreaths with. These are a little leggy. I guess they just get this afternoon sun. This one was a new planting, but it's still putting out some pretty good berries too. But that's the Nelly. A lot of folks like to use that as a plant on either side of their house as a balance plant, upright. I like it when it's a little more tight form like that. These guys have been allowed to get pretty leggy. But here we are in the Tanger Botanical Garden here in Greensboro. All right, that's a great one. All right, folks, continuing with the winter berry video, and I want to show you these. This is wax myrtle. Some of these berries of the wax myrtle tree can be used for actually an insecticide. And I've heard, it's not like a citronella. It can go into candles. You can make wax out of these berries. It was done by the Indians, and for maybe even medicinal purposes. Here's some more Nandina berries. They're beautiful. I got to show you this. Mom's down here. Here's a juniper. Check out these berries on this juniper bush. These are the large Hollywood juniper here. And then, this is an eastern red cedar. Will you look at that? It's pretty incredible. And look at that. Can you see that? Right. Hey, there's NC, the neighbor's cat. But check that out. That is just beautiful. Look at that. I want to try to get some of this in the sun. If you could see that, will you look at that? That is pretty incredible. The blueberries on that eastern red cedar, I'm just, really impressed with that. That's gorgeous. All right, folks, beautiful day, and we're hitting the jackpot on some more berries. I'm going to show you a couple different types. This is cotoneaster here. As you can see the berries on that. That is more of an upright growing cotoneaster. It really spreads a lot in the beds, and that's the purpose here, is to occupy all the space on this bank you can see down there. Now, this is a different type of cotoneaster here, the rock type, or the spreading type of cotoneaster. Produces a beautiful plump red berry in the fall, and I really like to use those plants. And then this is osmanthus. See more of this cotoneaster, and see that nice burgundy look it takes on in the fall. And then this is osmanthus, or the tea olive, and not too profuse on the bloom on the berries. It's a great holly. I love to use that for wreaths too. And just want to share those three, the two types of cotoneaster, the upright form, the lower growing one, and then the osmanthus, false holly, or tea olives. As you can see, not too many berries on that one. They're not as profuse, but here's some more. Continuing with the theme, if you can see those berries. Oh, look, there's still some fruit on that peach tree there. All right, well, hey, just want to share some more berries with you folks. Isn't that cool? All right, here we go. We got one here. It's an old faithful, the old Burfordii holly. It's kept in tree form. Always can count on it to produce some berries. This one's not too profuse this year. I've seen some years where they really put it out. But that is the Burfordii holly, upright form, treed up, and it produces a lot of berries right now. And you can hear the birds around. Look at all these cotoneaster over here. They could probably use a little trim and some pruning, but really nice blooming. And as I mentioned before, they're occupying all that space. Look at the size of that hydrangea. That actually has a really nice winter look to it. They've got a lot of viburnums over here. I was talking about a peach before. Not a peach. It's viburnums putting out some fruit too. But, you can even sometimes see on these Indian hawthorns will produce some berries as well. All right, folks. Checking it out. All right, folks. Continuing with the berries. This is Ilex verticillata, winter red, becoming prized. This is like a deciduous holly bush, Ilex, with the kale. That is just gorgeous. I'm here at Paul Senior Botanical. This is part of it. Look at this. These Christmas ornaments from the ornamental sweet gums. I would don't recommend that. But you know, that is more of a less of a sweet gum invader, and this one absolutely has zero. Here's another Ilex verticillata, and it has some kale in the bottom. Look at those beautiful berries and the way the sun's hitting that. Man, I just love it. Adrian put together these large urns for a festival they had a while back. There's the GrowinGreen lawn. Okay, let's go see if we can find some more winter berries. All right, folks, here I am at probably the best collection of winterberry holly. You've got both decidua and you've got verticillata, which we saw over at the Paul Senior. But these are the more of a, they hang on to their leaves. It's probably an island, it's a holly. Check out this yellow one. And the curator of grounds here, he hadn't got this one tagged, but I'll tell you what, that's beautiful. Look at that yellow. And down here, these are same thing. They're winterberry. Here's another winterberry that has a completely different foliage. See that? Look at that winterberry. These are all growing along down here by the pond. We do a lot of treatments on this pond in the winter. This is that big guy right here. It's an Ilex. Now he's got another one in here that they're calling deciduum that I found down here. Quite a collection. This guy right here. This is the Ilex verticillata, Maryland Beauty, hanging on to its leaves. So I'm not really sure if what I saw over at the botanical garden was more of this. See the birds? They're loving it. This one, that's more of an upright form, where this is the verticillata like we saw at the botanical garden. This guy right here is called Century Possum Haw Holly. That's more of an upright. That's got beautiful berries. Here's the old vomitoria. That's the old Yopon holly. And that's it, man. I'm telling you, they've got one of the best collections of berry bushes that you'll find in the Piedmont over here. And I tell you what, I've always admired them in the summer when I'm over here treating for weeds. And what I'm doing right now is taking a sample. Look at this. Some more berries. So we're getting a lot of, that's more of a verticillata there. Coming in, look at it, weeping vomitoria. That's weeping the Yopon. All right, we'll see if we can't find a beauty bush. All right, folks, found what I was looking for here. This is the beautyberry bush. You can see that. Spectacular. It's kind of hidden in here. And God, that has got to be one of the most beautiful of the bloomers right there. And it's gone deciduous, but the berries hang on and the birds really, really love it. That's one of my favorites. I'm glad I found that beauty bush. Beautyberry. It's just gorgeous. You see that. They really do lighten up in landscape. All right, folks, looking for that. There's the beautyberry. The beautyberry bush. Beautiful berries. Just gorgeous. These are getting a little on the long end, plus they got a good cold snap. Well, folks, turns out this is Ilex verticillata winter gold, or yellowberry winterberry holly. Look at that. And now I'm looking down here at another one that's yellow. And this one is actually called Ilex verticillata Southern Gentleman Winterberry Holly. So this comes from Newfoundland, Minnesota. So, will you look at that? Check that out. Hey, everybody. Oh, man, yellow berries. That's a really good one. All right, folks. Some beautiful Ilex verticillata. A little bit better perspective on these yellow Ilex verticillata Southern Gentlemen's. A little bit different time of day. Give you that yellow color. Look at that. Wonderful. Hey, decided to take a walking tour of HPU. A little idea of the artwork, architecture, the water features here. I'm on foot, folks, so a little different perspective. Wall of water. And just fabulous, fabulous gardens. It's going fall. We're moving into winter. Here's another beauty berry bush. And I'm going to wrap it up with that, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. Just looking at different types of berries that you could find in the landscape. And that's what this is all about. There's some good old Nandina and just a good old shot of the campus here, High Point University. Berries are usually poisonous for human consumption, so avoid that. And I'm sure if you put one in your mouth and tasted it, you wouldn't ingest enough to hurt you because you'd spit it right out. Anyway, Tommy Cowett, hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like the stuff, subscribe down below, like the video, and we'll keep them coming. All right, hope you all are having a great one. All right, folks, Tommy back, and I got to show you this one. Been looking all over for some of this flowering. This is Akuba, Japanese Akuba, Akuba japonica, or some folks call it gold dust plant. This is actually, looks like the gold dust plant, or some folks call it spotted laurel. But that really has, this one's been pruned pretty hard. But look at those beautiful red berries. Now, that's got a really striking big berry to it. But how do you like that? That's really nice. This is kind of weedy. Show you something. The very first landscape that I ever planted was for my home ec teacher at Page. This crepe myrtle here, I planted this probably 25, 30 years ago. And I put those dwarf Burford hollies. Oh, look, I did plant some gold dust plant in here. Now, it's on this busy road. No one's ever taken care of it. I did plant this blue rug juniper here. I planted this here like 30 years ago. I've never been back, of course. It's overgrown. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but hey, it's not my fault. It's not my problem anymore. But hey, I did do that about 30 years ago. My very first landscape planting. I did a design and everything for it. All right, folks, it was part of a school project in high school. All right, hope you're having a great one. This was the berry for winter. Now we're going to make some wreaths out of this. All right, have a great one.